Alright, so hello everybody, welcome to another video, and I hope you're all safe and healthy in this time of absolute madness. And today I want to talk a little bit about something that I've noticed popping up in my comment section on the last few videos. And it's quite a few people being pretty vocal about the game becoming too easy for them. Or, becoming easier in general. Now, if you haven't played the game for a while, they basically made two changes at the same time, both of which made the game easier. First of all, they changed enemy scaling, so they basically don't scale as fast, they scale quite a bit slower, especially at high levels, and they changed status effects quite a bit. They made it so that every status effect can stack now, you can have more than 100% status, and some status effects were even completely reworked. And this basically means that we can now do more damage to enemies that are nowhere near as tanky as they used to be, which made the game quite a bit easier. Right now, enemies that are around level 150-ish feel about as beefy as level 70 or maybe 80 enemies before the changes. And that for a lot of people is just a problem. They don't like it, especially when you take into account that the majority of the game takes place below level 100, so you very rarely get to fight very high level enemies, and even those very high level enemies are now not as big of a deal anymore. I mean, earlier today I was playing around with a new Ignis Wraith build and I was chewing through 150 Grenier no problem, which is kind of nuts considering how good of a coverage that weapon has. And I actually understand why some people are worried. Now, I'm not saying that it's all bad, all the changes were bad, because I think some of the changes were really good. Like, for example, I've been playing around with a ton of different weapons, with a ton of different builds since the changes, and my builds are infinitely more diverse than they were before. And the biggest contributors for me here are, number one, the fact that you can go over 100% status if you decide to do so, and two, the fact that physical status effects aren't 4 times as likely to proc anymore. So you actually have to think about the physical elements, right? Am I overwhelming the weapon with elemental damage, which is not gonna make it proc physical procs, which previously was just not a question, because of course it's gonna proc slash, because it's slash. And then there's the question of, do I want to go with pure status, or do I want to go with hybrid status? Do I want to push the status over 100%? And it's actually quite cool. So what's the problem? Why is there a problem? Well, because right now, there kind of isn't a reason to do any of it. Now, some might argue that it's been the case for a while. I mean, high-end weapons with high-end builds didn't really have much to be used on for the most part, right? You could just go 3 hours into a survival and then be like, ooh yeah, this does do a lot of damage, but for the most part you would just butcher everything. But everything has kind of been amplified by the nerf to enemy scaling and the buff to status. And that, for me anyways, devalues progression quite a bit, right? What's the point of grinding all the mods and putting like 5 form on a weapon if it's not really necessary? And it's kind of weird because it doesn't necessarily apply to me. I have all the mods, I have all the weapons, or the vast majority of weapons, and I have Forma on the vast majority of them as well. You know, I spent the last 5-6-ish years getting all the weapons and putting Forma on them, so I can essentially pick up any weapon in the game and just try it out with a full build. But it still bothers me because, there are other things that I could be like getting or grinding or progressing with. Like, for example, arcanes. They've changed arcanes so that they go up to rank 5 instead of just rank 3, and they become stronger than they were before, yet I feel no need to grind any of them. I'm just like, you know what, rank 3 is fine. And that's just a bummer because it's something that I could be doing in game, but I just feel no need to do it because what's the point? I don't need it. I actually at times kind of envy the math maniacs that just go for the best thing no matter what, even though it doesn't really make a difference in the game because, they just feel motivated to do all of that stuff. And I just kinda don't. Now, some of you may recall me saying that I don't think people want their games to be super hard, and I still stand by that. I still feel like people say that they want their games to be harder just because they feel like it's what they should say. But when I say that, I don't mean that they want, enemies to be slightly tankier and do slightly more damage. I'm talking about them wanting a proper ball buster of a difficulty that's just non-stop carnage all the time. Because I feel like that's the other extreme, right? You have non-stop carnage all the time, which is just exhausting and you just can't do it for too long. But on the other end, you can very easily end up with a game that's about collecting gear, yet it doesn't make you feel like you need to collect gear to get stronger. And I feel that a really good way to deal with this kind of problem is what they did with the liches and their ranking system, right? Some people would just straight up avoid rank 5 liches because they were too tough, so they wouldn't rank them up. But other people that had more or better gear could easily rank them up to 5 and still deal with them. Which gave you the benefit of A, being able to test your Requiems willy-nilly because you don't really care about the lich ranking up, and B, it gave you more lich missions. And it was all dependent on you, right? Do you have the gear to deal with a fully ranked up lich? No? Okay, let's wait until you have all the Requiems and then start stabbing it. There are of course some limitations to this, but you know, you get the idea. And I think I've been blabbering for long enough, so thank you very much for watching as always guys. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section down below. Stay safe, be at home, don't be an idiot, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.